Thank you. Pursuant to notice, I now call up H.R. 4335, the Abraham Accords Defense Against Terror Act. This bill was circulated in advance, and the clerk shall designate the bill.
H.R. 4335, to provide authority to enhance security assistance with countries that are engaged in regional security cooperation efforts in the Middle East and North Africa and for other purposes.
Without objection, the first reading is dispensed with, and the bill is considered read and open to amendment at any point. Also, without objection, the Lawler amendment in the nature of a substitute circulated to members in advance shall be considered as read and will be treated as original text for the purpose of the amendment. I now recognize myself in support of this legislation. Thank you. I want to thank my friend and my colleague, the MENA Subcommittee Chair, Representative Lawler, for sponsoring this piece of legislation. The Foreign Military Sales Program, which we've spoken about quite a bit today, is a key component for our national security. FMS strengthens our alliances, enhances interoperability with partner forces, promotes regional stability by ensuring that foreign governments are equipped with high-quality, reliable U.S. defense systems. Yet the process underpinning foreign military sales is complex, lengthy, and opaque, leading many of our traditional defense partners to question U.S. reliability and commitment to our long-term partners. There is a clear recognition that it's simply not enough for our equipment to be the best. Those procuring U.S. origin weapons must also have the confidence that our equipment will be delivered on time in a transparent manner. Streamlining the FMS process is critical if the U.S. is to remain the partner of choice, particularly in the Middle East and North Africa, which represents the lion's share of FMS cases globally, yet also subject to some of the most egregious delays. This inherent unpredictability has increasingly driven our traditional partners to consider alternative defense suppliers, threatening the competitiveness of the U.S. defense industry as well as its interoperability. These sales are critical to ensure our partners and allies have the tools that they need to continue working with the U.S. to advance our shared objectives. These issues are something this committee will work hard to address, a goal that I know is shared by this administration. This is why this bill is essential by ensuring FMS sales to partners and allies in the region who have taken steps to advance critical U.S. national interests, notably with respect to Iran and Israel, receive priority when it comes to congressional review. These sales not only build partner capacity, but also help strengthen interoperability, as I've said already. This helps ensure key partners in the region are equipped to work in a hand-in-glove manner with us to collectively respond to evolving security challenges and ultimately strengthens our collective deterrence and therefore overall regional stability and the strength of the United States of America. Do any other members seek recognition? Ranking Member Meeks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me be clear that I'm a strong supporter of the Abraham Accords and the efforts by Arab states to normalize diplomatic relationships with Israel. It is something that I have seen over my lifetime in Congress for the first time, countries agreeing to the Jewish state of Israel. It is the beginning of trying to get to a real peace in the Middle East. It is just the beginning. We have a long way to go. But I'm a supporter, and I thank the many Arab countries who have agreed to normalize diplomatic relations with Israel. And I look forward to others joining to do just that. It's the only way to work towards broader regional peace and stability. And it's important, though, that countries do so based on merit and genuine openness. We shouldn't be having a set of quid pro quo arrangements or enticements. It should be done on the merits as we see countries agreeing and moving forward. We cannot ever forget human rights, It is, in Mr. Lawler's bill, it would mandate expedited processing of all U.S. arms sales to the Abraham Accord countries, as well as we shrink the statutory required congressional review time of any such sale from 30 to 15 days. Why do I disagree with this? Is because this would put such a review periods on par with our historic U.S. treaty allies, like NATO member countries, like South Korea and Japan. And while I support the broadening of the Abraham Accords, I don't believe it is appropriate to equate long-standing allies like the UK, like France or Canada, all countries with which the United States has detailed comprehensive defensive agreements, to countries who have thus far had inconsistent and checkered records regarding the U.S. weapons, the use of U.S. weapons in conflicts and protections of sensitive defensive technologies. An example of that would be the misuse and diversion of U.S. weapons in Yemen. The UAE, unfortunately, continues to provide armed support to the RSF militia in Sudan. And this has been extensively documented. I've paid particular attention to what's taking place and talking to our humanitarian groups and talking to individuals about what's happening on the ground there. It concerns me. I appreciate the UAE becoming an Abraham Accord country and working with Israel in that regards. But if we provide expedited timeline to our closest allies, or we do provide an expedited timeline to our closest allies because of the presumption of approval, I can't say that we have a presumption of approval in this case with the countries who are party to the Abraham Accords. This bill also comes at the time that the Trump administration has made corrupt pay-to-play deals with the Gulf governments, a central part of U.S. policy. Congress still has yet to receive any substantive details from the administration regarding the arms, crypto, and AI deals the White House announced during President Trump's May Gulf trip. This reflects the administration's unfortunate pattern of discounting the legislative branch and flaunting transparency and oversight. And for these reasons, I cannot support this bill at this time, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Ranking member yields back. Do any other members seek recognition? Representative Lawler is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for bringing this bill forward for markup today. The Abraham Accords were the single greatest development towards peace in the Middle East in recent decades. For over 75 years, Israel has been our staunchest ally and a pivotal partner in the region. Israel is a beacon of freedom, democracy, and prosperity, a true innovation nation with a successful and vibrant society despite the geopolitical conditions they have faced. President Trump recognized this during his first administration, and he worked diligently with some of our partners in the Arab world to showcase this. He showed them the economic benefits to normalizing with Israel, and that the real inhibitor to a prosperous Middle East is not Israel, but Iran. So, at its origins in September 2020, the Abraham Accords included the UAE and Bahrain. Morocco joined the following December. During President Biden's term, he made no forward progress with other nations to normalize with Israel. And luckily, President Trump has again been prioritizing this agreement since he has been back in the White House. The Abraham Accords Defense Against Terror Act will make the president's job just a little easier by further incentivizing countries to normalize with Israel. This legislation will enhance arms sales processes for Abraham Accords countries that also cooperate with the U.S. on anti-Iran efforts or Iran proxy counterterrorism efforts. Specifically, it narrows the timeline for congressional consideration after arms sales are accepted. This is the same preferential treatment that our NATO allies receive. In addition to the tangible benefits of this shorter time period, there's also great symbolism. We are showing our Middle East partners that we're serious about deepening security ties. This was something I emphasized when I traveled to the region this past May, and something I know the President has focused on during his trip there as well. The United States sees the UAE, Bahrain, and Morocco as key partners, and we are dedicated to maintaining these relationships and expanding them further. A similar sentiment is shared for Saudi Arabia and our other partners in the region. We are hopeful that Saudi Arabia and others in the future know this as well. As a leader in the Arab world, Saudi Arabia joining the Abraham Accords would make massive inroads for Israel's relationships, not only in the Middle East, but across the globe. So I want to thank Chairman Mast for understanding the benefits of strengthening ties in the Middle East and for bringing this critical legislation before the House Foreign Affairs Committee. And I encourage all of my fellow committee members to support this bipartisan bill, and I yield the remainder of my time.
Representative yields. Representative Jacobs is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm opposing this bill. Overseeing arms transfer decisions is one of the most important oversight duties of this committee, and I cannot support a bill that weakens our oversight responsibilities. This bill would cut in half the time for Congress to review sales to Abraham Accord countries, which includes Egypt and the United Arab Emirates. In Egypt, Congress maintains long-standing concerns with its poor human rights record and growing ties to Russia and China. In the UAE, I and other members of this committee have expressed deep concerns that Abu Dhabi's continued material support to the Rapid Support Forces in Sudan, which is committing a horrific genocide in Darfur. We should not grant these countries privileged access to U.S. arms, given these considerations. Besides, this bill won't even solve the problems my colleagues are trying to solve. We all know that the arms transfer process is often a years-long process, whose lengthiest aspects are the DoD contracting timeline and the production timeline. Shaving 15 days off of the congressional notification clock will do little to incentivize countries to normalize relations with Israel, but it will have the time available to members of Congress to assess some highly sensitive sales to countries that require heightened, not weakened, oversight. So for that reason, I oppose this bill. I urge my colleagues to do so as well. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Yields back. Representative Self is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I applaud Mr. Lawler's work on this. The Abraham Accords are vitally important to the Middle East. I will just make 2 points along the lines of Mr. Meeks. If everything is most important, nothing is. If everything is number one, nothing is. So we need to be careful because our industrial base is having trouble keeping up right now with our commitments for weapons across the world, as is the European industrial base. And secondly, I want to make very clear that I support the qualitative edge of Israel's weapons from the U.S. over anyone else in the region. So we need to be really careful about the qualitative edge of the Israeli weapon systems that we are getting to them. With that, I yield back.
During a House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing prior to the congressional recess, lawmakers engaged in a heated debate over a bill designed to expedite arms deals for Arab states that have normalized relations with Israel under the Abraham Accords. The proposed legislation, known as the Abraham Accords Defense Against Terror Act, seeks to enhance U.S. security assistance to Middle East and North Africa nations involved in regional cooperation, with a particular focus on streamlining the foreign military sales process. Supporters argued that the current system is too slow and opaque, causing delays that undermine U.S. credibility, drive partners toward alternative suppliers, and threaten the competitiveness of the American defense industry. The bill would give priority to foreign military sales for countries advancing U.S. interests in the region, especially in countering Iran and strengthening ties with Israel. One of its key provisions would shorten the congressional review period for such sales from 30 to 15 days, a timeline currently reserved for long-standing treaty allies like NATO members, South Korea, and Japan. Advocates contended this change would bolster partner capacity, improve interoperability, and reinforce collective deterrence. Opponents, however, voiced serious reservations. Ranking Member Gregory Meeks affirmed his support for the Abraham Accords as a pathway toward broader peace and stability, but rejected the notion of granting the same expedited arms sale privileges to new partners as those enjoyed by long-term allies. He cited human rights concerns, misuse of U.S. weapons in Yemen, and ongoing support by the United Arab Emirates for Sudan's rapid support forces, which have been implicated in atrocities. Meeks also criticized past pay-to-play arrangements with Gulf governments and a lack of transparency from the administration regarding recent arms, cryptocurrency, and AI agreements. Representative Mike Lawler defended the bill as a means of incentivizing additional countries to normalize relations with Israel and counter Iranian influence. He likened the preferential treatment to that received by NATO allies, emphasizing both symbolic and practical benefits in deepening regional security ties. Representative Sarah Jacobs opposed the measure, warning it would weaken congressional oversight and fail to address the real causes of arms delivery delays, which often stem from Department of Defense contracting and production timelines rather than the review period itself. Other members stressed the importance of protecting Israel's qualitative military edge and cautioned against overburdening the already stretched U.S. defense industrial base. The debate highlighted the balance lawmakers must strike between strategic partnerships, oversight responsibilities, and the ethical implications of arms transfers in volatile regions.